All right. Looks like we are live here on YouTube. Let me double check. In fact, is anyone here in the chat? Maybe you can tell me if we're live. That would be important. I'm still working out how to use StreamYard, but welcome to the stream if you're here. Let me know in the comments. Hopefully, all right, looks like we're good. Looks like we are live. So, hey, welcome. This is going to be the first night of Moon Knight that we have. We did have a preview last week, but we didn't have an episode to go off of. So this is the first official one. This was an idea of Jim for Bronzeville Comics. He had the idea. He came to me. He said, hey, we should do a collab video for every episode of Moon Knight. We should do a preview video. We should talk about spec books. We should talk about predictions. We should talk about what happened in the episode. What's up, Maverick Gaming? How you doing, Danny? Good to see you. Put you up there on the screen there. How are we? We're good. We're good. And we just saw that episode of Moon Knight. I watched it through twice. I don't know about Jim, but we're going to bring him on in just a minute. We're going to be doing this every week, so you don't want to miss out. We'll be talking about different things, and we also want your input. We want you guys to be interactive in the chat, and give us your input. Give us your opinion of the episode if you watched it. Give us your predictions. We'd love to hear from you guys. We'll be talking about all that stuff. Before we get started, I just want to remind you, definitely go follow on Instagram if you haven't yet. I'm giving away this Batman 429 newsstand, and it's a nice high-grade newsstand copy at that. This is going to be for our 7,000 follower giveaway on Instagram. We're at 6,500 as of right now, so we're going to be hitting that relatively soon. You don't want to miss out. We just gave away our 1,500 subscriber giveaway on YouTube was this Hulk 377. Congrats to the winner of that. That was Nelvis_Eats. He won that book just earlier this week, so you don't want to miss out. I've got a couple of other giveaways, one for my 100th video and another one for that I'm going to be announcing soon for 2,000 2,000 YouTube subscribers. What is up, Mr. Tom Freak from down in Argentina? Hope you're doing well. I think you're a little bit ahead of us time-wise, so thanks for staying up late with us tonight. I know you're a night owl. You're usually up. But anyway, let's bring Jim into the conversation here. Hopefully he's ready to go. We don't take him by surprise, but Jim, are you here? There we go.
All set.
All right. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing very well.
You've been busy recently. Why don't you tell some people what's been going on with you this week? You got some stuff in the mail and some stuff in the works. Why don't you?
I got a CGC box yesterday. Some three really nice books. Hulk 181, a Fantastic Four 48, a Daredevil 1. So
you would say grails.
Yes. They're nice little books, to have. And I have a couple more packages actually in the mail, but I still have a ton of books out at CGC, and I just walked in the door like maybe within the last 45 minutes with a collection. So
excellent.
I'll have to break down.
I called you this morning right after I left the coffee shop. I was talking about comics in the coffee shop, and what happened? The best thing ever happened. Some guy said behind me, he was like, talking about comic books? I've got comic books. I asked him if he wanted to sell them at any point. I asked him what he had. He said, his wife has been bothering him to sell them. And he let me know he's got some Silver Age Fantastic Four stuff, which, fingers crossed could be extremely good. In fact, a book that you just mentioned, Fantastic Four 48, as well as 49 and 50, some big keys there. We've got 52 as well. We've got Inhumans, Black Bolt, 44 is that?
44, 45, I believe.
44, 45. So, yeah, there's some big books in there. Shout out right there to Nelvis Eats. He says, what's up, guys? Nelson, I got your book right here, man. Ready to send that out as soon as I get a chance to go to the post office. So thank you for joining us today as well. Great. And you have a giveaway that's upcoming, not announced yet.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing my 2,500 subscriber giveaway on YouTube. I'm at 21 something subscribers, excellent. I think.
Nice.
I had a real fast movement from 1000 to 2000. So
real fast. I passed Jim a couple months ago, and then out of nowhere, he zoomed past me. He's at over 2,000 at this point. Congrats to him. That is awesome.
Yeah, just shy of 2,200.
Excellent. Awesome. So yeah, you'll be announcing that soon. So look out. We've both got giveaways on the horizon for YouTube. People are trying to sell you drugs at coffee shops. That's yeah, stay away from them. We'll keep it with coffee and comics. That's
comics are addictive, but
yeah, different kind
not
of
in
addiction.
a dangerous way. They don't endanger your health generally.
Yeah, unless they like you stack them so high that they eventually topple over. That could cause some problems. But anyway, the topic of the night, we're talking Moon Knight, episode 1. Jim, give me your initial impressions.
I thought they were laying a lot of groundwork, and I thought it was interesting that like not a lot happened. In a way that it was a little frustrating that all the action sequences he was asleep for. We were basically following the story through the eyes of the Stephen Grant persona. And like whenever it was getting really exciting, he'd be like roll his eyes back and then like it'd be over. And like we missed the entire action sequence. But there's a lot going on there. And they much like these Marvel series specifically, there are many more questions than answers early on in the series. So I think they Oscar Isaac was quite good. We kind of saw him with two personas. Did finally see Moon Knight at the end. And by the way, if you haven't watched the show yet, spoiler warning, we're going to be talking all about it. So
yeah, I should have
catch up on this later. This will be available to watch, at your leisure. Watch Moon Knight episode 1 first. So I think, the dive into Egyptian mythology was interesting. And the kind of that psychic break that the character is experiencing is interesting as well. So there's a lot they can build on. They only have 5 more episodes to do it. So I think it's, it might have been, I think, a little difficult for new viewers or viewers that are, not really familiar with the character, just kind of the casual MCU viewer and like scratching their heads with what's going on.
Exactly. And Up a Grade Pressing says here something that I was wondering as well. If we're going to actually see those scenes, I was thinking we'd probably see episode 2 from the point of view of Mark Spector, recapping those little scenes where, he was gone. We don't know anything about that 2 days, Friday and Saturday. He falls asleep Thursday and wakes up on Sunday. We don't know anything about those 2 days. That could be episode 2, or it might just be a small recap of that. Who knows what's going to go on? But I kind of liked that it was just from one point of view because the suspense kept building up. And then it, like you said, leaves more questions than answers. We're like, whoa, what happened here? What is this scarab? What is, what is going on? Why was Mark Spector after the scarab? Why was he involved with Arthur Harrow and all his stuff? Definitely a, like just a total cluster of just what is going on. Tom here wishes that the story keeps going on. I do too, but I hope there is some recap on that. I'm not saying the whole episode should be like those 2 days and what Mark did, but I would love to see like maybe 15 minutes of the episode, a third of it or so, just kind of recapping what we didn't see, during that time. A little bit more action.
Yeah, they could like maybe start off like with the scene in the on the road where he's driving the cupcake truck, and just kind of have a scene there where the action occurs to kind of put the two pieces together, and then kind of move the narrative forward from there.
I personally would love to see how the cupcake truck ended up going backwards down the hill, because we see him driving forward. There's that snap from reality, and then it kind of just comes in with him going backwards. So one thing I noticed, and I certainly could be wrong, technology in this show seems to be behind the times.
The
I
flip
did not
phone?
see, whereas in the MCU, the greater MCU, you know, it's New York, a major city like London. There are like futuristic kind of looking like billboards and stuff like that. The cell phone was like a Motorola flip phone that like I think I had in 7th grade, 15 or so years ago. Um, could this be in the past? Could this be, years pre-snap?
That's interesting. And kind of one of the other theories that I had was that potentially, given what is currently going on in the MCU and what's going to happen as the series is ending, is his dissociative identity disorder a function of multiple versions of the character being overlaid because the multiverse is breaking down?
Yeah, that's certainly possible. Um, it could be. I noticed one thing. Um, Arthur Harrow at one point makes reference to all these tragic things. That he talks about Pol Pot and Hitler and the Armenian genocide. Doesn't say anything about the snap,
Right.
which is, I would say, a major. In MCU, bigger than all those things. We had half the world's population. Why
Right.
was that not mentioned? Was that not mentioned because they're leaving this open to not tie into the greater MCU? Are they leaving this open because it happened before the snap? We're getting a background on this character, and then we're going to see the character introduced in the MCU, and it be years later than what's occurring on the screen now.
Right. Because, one of the overarching questions that I still don't think we have any connection for, other than maybe something very subtle, is how does this connect to the rest of the MCU? I can't imagine that it would be a standalone, disconnected from the MCU. Could it be in another reality?
Yeah,
that he gets dovetailed in. I don't know.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say, especially because at the end of this, I mentioned this last week. The last episode airs on a Wednesday. The very next day is the premiere of Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
The entire Marvel Cinematic Universe and everything, possibly the Sony universe, the Fox universe. Who knows, the 90s Fantastic Four movie universe,
the 1970s CBS TV universe.
Right. Oh man, I'm hoping we see Spider-Man and his amazing friends make an appearance.
More live action Spider-Man.
What's that guy's name? Hammond, something like that.
Nicholas Hammond.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was kind of bummed he didn't at least have a little cameo in No Way Home.
Yeah, because he's still active. He was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, was he? I actually,
his career, one of his first movies, if not his first movie, was like the early 60s version of The Lord of the Flies.
Really?
He was one of the kids on the island. He was also one of the Von Trapp kids in Sound of Music.
Huh.
Now I know. Yeah, he ditched Marcia Brady for a date.
Oh, dang.
After she got hit in the nose with a football. He didn't want any part of that.
Wait, I'm looking the wrong way. You're over here. Yeah, there we go. Tom said, the snap was not man-made. Yeah, it wasn't human-made, but it's still, I guess, because they were talking about how Amit, would judge humans. I guess Thanos would not be included in that. So, Tom, you do have a good point there. It wasn't mentioned, but again, not a human. I don't know if Amit has any power over Mad Titans, but hey, good point there, Tom.
So I think like the starting point, which was kind of interesting, is it starts with the Ethan Hawke character,
who
also was in Lord of the Flies, but that's another story. We're assuming, based on the subtitles of a trailer, that the character he's playing is Arthur Harrow. Now, Arthur Harrow appeared just in one comic book, Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu #2 from whenever that was, the early 80s, mid 80s, I guess. And then he never appeared again. But what's interesting is what was driving him was he was trying to find a way to stop pain.
Mm-hmm. He was like a pain scientist, right?
Yeah, and he was like deformed, like his face kind of looked like Jonah Hex's, and he was in excruciating pain. So go to that first scene where Ethan Hawke's character crushes the glass and puts it in his shoes to kind of embrace this pain.
Right.
That's like a very, fairly weak connection, but obviously this character is more than that. There's other aspects of characters, and maybe Marvel's just using the name out of convenience, that
right,
rather than confusing with some other character that would have a larger presence in Moon Knight's comic book history.
Yeah, so the way I saw it, this is from two views, just kind of thinking about different possible reasons for the character and all that. He does that, and he does it in a like very ritualistic way. He does so religious, and for me it kind of was like, I kind of thought he was like atoning, you know what I mean, like doing this thing to himself, to his feet, out of
like a flagellation,
atone for his sins. So Ahmet sees him as good, worthy of this afterlife that they speak of, where they do the weighing of the heart, which was that they took that from actual Egyptian ritual and Egyptian beliefs. I thought that was pretty cool. I think that it seems to me that he is like, just like Moon Knight is an avatar of Khonshu. Arthur, it seems to be an avatar of Ahmet.
Right. And there was that point where he was making that their only show, what was it, 6 or 7 of the Egyptian gods, but there are 9 of them.
Right. And they didn't mention which 2 aren't being shown, but I have an idea which 2 it might be. There's no way they threw that part in for nothing.
Right.
Could that have been just to show that he is knowledgeable about Egypt? I don't think so. I think it has to be relevant to the storyline. Seeds planted now that are gonna come up later.
Right. And it's kind of interesting because in the comics, Moon Knight evolved quite a bit from his first appearance, where he was just basically a mercenary hired by the Committee, which was also a comedy improv group based out of San Francisco in the 60s and 70s that had...
I don't think they're related.
I don't think so. That would be quite weird, but yeah. Anyway, then he was a mercenary, and then he started using these aliases to gather information, basically get into different things, sort of like how Batman would use Matches Malone to go into the underworld. And one of them was a British cab driver by the name of Stephen Grant, who this persona is.
Mm-hmm.
And except now he's working in a museum. And again, the first episode was told almost entirely from his point of view, but there are other points of view, and there are other characters in there. So it might be they're like kind of exploring the different characters separately, rather than kind of jump between characters within an episode, at least to start, because now it's all this mystery and we only know as much as he does, essentially.
Yeah.
He sort of wakes up and the cupcake truck is going backwards down the winding mountain road.
Yeah, and like I mentioned last week, the movie feels like Memento, or the show feels like Memento, where there's just a loss of time. You don't know what's going on. It goes from one thing. Now, these are shorter jumps than Memento, and I'm not going to get into the whole plot point of that movie, but it it has that same, that similar feeling where there's, jumps in time. The viewer does not see everything, and you're left with a whole lot of questions.
And the other question is, where did that take place? That mountainous in the Alps somewhere is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think Switzerland.
Things were in German.
Yeah, I would think Switzerland, Luxembourg would be
Luxembourg, Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein. That's what I meant.
Austria, maybe.
It's pretty far over.
Or could it be Latveria?
Could it?
Because I think on the cupcake truck it said Von something that began with a D.
Yeah. That's a I thought that was just a little Easter egg. Doom is coming.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, it would be it would be an unusual place to introduce Victor Von Doom.
I don't think I don't think he's going to be in the show. I think just like how they put
a better chance of getting Mephisto or Omega Red.
Maybe
or the Power Skrull.
I just want to pause for a second and shout out Moonlit Comics. Michelle in the house. She's definitely a Moon Knight aficionado. I know, I'm pretty sure at least that he's your favorite hero. I know you're big on Moon Knight stuff, and she's doing a show as well. Everybody check her out Tuesday nights. Michelle, you got to let us know what time in the chat because I forget what time. But I will be on her episode 2 review. I'm going to be joining her in just a couple weeks. She's doing that the Tuesday before episode 3, like literally the day before episode 3 comes out. She'll be reviewing episode 2, which is a great way to remind yourself of what happened, do a little recap before the next episode comes out. And then episode 3 comes out and you can join us on, on Wednesday night and talk a little bit more about that. So Michelle, just put the time in the chat, 8 PM. Oh, there we go. 8 PM every Tuesday for recap and review starting next Tuesday. Thank you very much, Michelle. And please feel free to lend your expertise in the chat. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I meant to put this one up. Yeah, the standalone stories, there's some debate whether standalone stories would be good versus, things being in the general continuity or rather, be intertwined. I think they're going to keep intertwining things, whether they start standalone, because, even Hawkeye, like Kate Bishop, other than intertwining with Clint, we don't really see any other Avenger, related stuff in there, but I think she's certainly going to be integrated eventually.
Yelena Belova, Kingpin.
Yeah, well, Kingpin, but yeah, Yelena, you're right. You got a good point. I guess she's already intertwined, but I think we'll see some sort of intertwining. Maybe it's the end credit scene or the last episode or something in Moon Knight. I don't think it's going to like full on throw them in there right away, but I think we will see something.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of what we've come to expect. And I think as comic collectors, there's that thing is like, oh, let's see in the episode, the people that get up at 3 a.m. to watch the episode and then, watching Falcon Winter Soldier and they jump on the first appearance of Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Say it again.
Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Ooh, that was good.
So, that's kind of the thing. It's like, well, what are they hinting at? And they really didn't hint it a whole lot. And what I was wondering, because he was such a big part of the show, or not the show, the comics is where's Frenchie?
Mm-hmm.
Now, evidently his name was on one of those calls on that flip phone that he discovered.
Yep. It was the only one that wasn't
Layla.
Layla. That's it.
Get down on my knees.
Yeah. Right. So, Yeah, I got one call. Does that mean the character is going to be introduced, or is that just a little Easter egg? Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't really be associating necessarily the Stephen Grant character, more with Mark Spector character, I would imagine. But wouldn't you be trying to help like the other persona be like, and who was the living statue?
So I actually had to look this one up because I didn't know if this was. I actually was trying to see if it was a statue or if it was a like a person, like one of those street performers.
Right.
According to the internet, it is a street performer rather than an actual statue. And in the credits, I read that the name is the same as a homeless character that acts as an informant for Mark Spector.
Okay.
That's one thing that I looked up. Had no idea about that. So, certainly could be. I think definitely will be a tie-in. A character that we'll be seeing again. Possibly maybe with some lines, who knows? But
right.
Michelle made a good point here. And I noticed this as well. A lot of the first episode was revealed in the trailers, and I was actually very happy to see that there wasn't much in the trailers other than the first episode. So we're going spoiler free kind of into the next bunch of episodes.
The other question I had was, what was that creature that was sicked on him that he had to beat up in the at the end of the episode?
Yeah,
was it a werewolf? Sort of jackal or something?
I don't know. It could have been a jackal, which jackals have a tie-in with Egyptian. Interesting looking jackal. Looked more like a werewolf to me. Which, I don't think it was Jack Russell. I don't think it was.
No, that would.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. I think it has to be something of Egyptian origin.
Yeah. We'll see. Let's see what we got. Oh, okay. Bought the first appearance of Grey Gargoyle just in case, an avatar of Anubis. Okay. So that's certainly a possible tie. And there weren't, I got no immediate thoughts in my head from watching this episode about keys to pick up.
Right.
That like nothing specifically came to mind.
Because the Fist of Khonshu #2, first and only appearance of Arthur Harrow, has already popped. Yeah. That's already been something that people have been buying.
Right.
And has increased in value.
And personally, this is just my personal opinion, I would not be buying it this week. I would be staying away from it this week. In fact, I have a friend who bought one for $20 last week, and I saw someone listing one for $50 this week. So I don't know if those are the actual going prices, but pricey books.
I did pick up a Marvel Spotlight 28, actually 2 copies this week.
Right. And you got a steal on them, right?
I got one for $30. Now, it's not high grade, but $30. I mean, as long as it's complete.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter for that book. That book that's good enough. You don't want to get like a low grade copy of Moon Knight 1. That book was from 1980. Not as sought after as Spotlight 28. Personally, I would not be buying a book, one of those unless it's like at least like an 8.0.
Number ones were printed in high quantities in the 70s and 80s. Marvel Spotlight was not a book that people were, buying to the same level as Spider-Man or Fantastic Four or something at the time.
Michelle mentioned the Thor books that deal with gods. I had that thought during the show. They're talking about gods now. Is this going to tie in or relate to the appearance of Gore the God Butcher?
Yeah.
We've got the character coming, Christian Bale taking on the role in Thor: Love and Thunder later this year. I don't see them making that tie-in. I think it's going to be more, the Norse gods, possibly,
Greek.
Hercules, Greek gods coming in. I think Zeus was already announced for that, correct?
Russell Crowe,
right? And Hercules an Avengers character that was around for, quite regularly in the 70s and 80s. So I don't think they're going to tie in the Egyptian gods as well, but hey, you never know. You never know what's going on with this MCU thing.
Yeah, Kevin Feige always has something up his sleeve, and he always has a plan. It's not just kind of slapdash like the Distinguished Competition.
Yeah. Oh man, what I would give to be a fly on the wall in like a MCU planning meeting. I could see just them like with all the little strings tying everything together, and that I don't know if you know that meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with Charlie Day like going crazy pointing at the wall. Yeah. What is it, Pepe Garcia or something?
Yeah, I mean, it's sad because I'm a DC fan living in a Marvel world. and I was really stupefied, I guess is the right word, in watching the Oscars last night, and not for the
slap heard around the world.
Maybe Warner Brothers will cast Will Smith as Batman and Chris Rock as Robin, and they could be a whole meme about it. But the Oscars did these fan polls, and they had two of them to try to have an avenue for more popular movies rather than art house movies, kind of popcorn movies, so to speak, to be part of the award show, because they do have a place in cinema history. And one of them was, I think, an audience cheer moment. And they unveiled the top 5 in order.
Yeah.
And it was, Keanu Reeves avoiding the bullets in the Matrix. It was Jennifer Hudson, Solo and Dreamgirls. Number three was Avengers Assemble from Endgame. Number 2 was the 3 Spideys from Far From Home. And number 1 was Flash entering the Speed Force from the Justice League Snyder Cut.
It was definitely Snyder fans just
I don't even really remember that moment.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I do, but
and also Ezra Miller runs all funny and stuff, like anyway. And then they did the favorite movie of the year, kind of, whatever that was.
Yeah.
And I think Far From Home was second or third. There was some random Johnny Depp film on there. There was the Cinderella live action movie, and number 1 was Army of the Dead.
Yeah,
with David Bautista, which was also directed by Zack Snyder. So I mean, he's got like his, I guess those followers that like Arthur Harrow has that just kind of bowed down to him. They were all on Twitter filling out that poll. End of rant. Back to Moon Knight.
Back to Moon Knight. What I was gonna say is, there is the Ennead gods. I did read online that they do appear in Marvel Comics. And I guess that's in Thor. So that is that's good to know. And then one first appeared in the Conan mag, which those things are sometimes real hard to get. Moon Knight 11, I did not know this. So this was the origin of Moon Knight meeting Frenchie. That's a good one to pick out. Frenchie first appears in Werewolf by Night 32. That book, a little out of most people's price range at this point. Unless you want to get, I thought I had it somewhere around here, the nice recent... what's it called? Facsimile. Yeah. Always good to get. So a lot of this stuff, Michelle's saying from the Lemire run. I didn't read I read the first couple issues of the Warren Ellis run. Is that what it was? The one from 2014? I forget who wrote it. Garth Ennis and Warren Ellis, I mix up all the time. So I never remember if I'm saying the right one or not. But yeah, hey, it is what it is. Why was a moment from Ed Game in the 2022 Oscars? It was a fan. They were like, they took, I guess they really looked at what the past like 5 years of movies or 10 years or something.
I mean, it goes back to Matrix. That's late 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows? I mean,
I don't know.
It was, wasn't the biggest fiasco of the night, but
yeah. Oh, we got volume, not volume 1. We got the 2017 Marvel Man said the 2017 Moon Knight run, issue 11, shows that backstory. So that's good. All right. Let's do some predictions. We were going to try to keep this show about 45 minutes, and we got about 10 minutes left until we hit that mark. Jim, what are you thinking? What do you think we're going to see in episode 2 and beyond?
As you said, I think that they are going to tell. I think episode 2 will be more from Mark Spector's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if there are any other characters, any other personalities that we're going to discover.
Right.
I think in episode 2, they're going to have to show more action.
Mm-hmm.
I think some casual fans may be kind of like watching the first couple episodes of WandaVision, like kind of confused because the storytelling is a little non-traditional.
I was confused by the first couple episodes of WandaVision. So I can't imagine someone that doesn't know at least some of the storyline and the characters.
And so, they're going to be like, well, where's the superhero stuff?
Right.
So I think that's, we're going to see that. I'm wondering if what was the name of the character he was supposed to have the date with that he missed because he was 2 days late?
I don't know if we got her name.
Yeah, she did have a name.
Fellow museum employee, we'll call her.
Yeah, if there's going to be another thing there, because the Marlene, the long-standing romantic interest of his in the comics, doesn't seem to be around.
So I did see somewhere online that people think that is Layla. They either changed the name or she's using the code name or something like that. Not really sure. Michelle, I totally agree with you. The emotion. He was just at the end of that date scene. He was so flabbergasted by having lost 2 full days, which makes me think that like he's lost time before, but he's never woken up 2 days later. It seems that this is kind of the peak of his psychological breakdown at this point. The guy was asking him, the waiter, what cut of meat do you want for your steak? And he was just like, oh yeah, the steak. And then he asked, how do you want that cooked? And he said, oh yeah, good. That sounds good. Just completely had no idea what, the people around him were doing. He was just completely overcome by having lost 2 days worth of time and not knowing anything that he did, except for possible what seemed to be a dream sequence, but clearly wasn't.
So I think, as you said, I think they're going to spend part of episode 2 showing things from Mark Spector's point of view, those time gaps that we missed, specifically the ones that were short in time, like that chase scene, because that's, they obviously spent money on the car chase.
Oh yeah.
And that's too much of an investment not to show the actual action. Know?
I need to see how the truck turns around. If I don't see that, I'm going to be very disappointed.
And so I'd be interested to see, who is Mark Spector? And is he as frustrated? Like, does he, by missing time as Stephen Grant is?
Sure. Yeah. I would assume that any other personality is not aware of what's going on when Stephen is, maybe he's more accustomed to it and aware of it. It seems like he is, as he's talking to Stephen like a normal person, not like freaked out about the whole situation. In the mirror scenes and stuff like that. Right. But yeah, I would assume that he knows nothing of what's going on.
And there's also the what was I going to say? Senior moment. The what are Harrow? We'll call him Arthur Harrow. What are his motivations? How does it benefit him to have his little kind of scales tattoo end up killing people?
Yeah, not only what are his motivations, what are his powers? Because we see him do this whole, judging someone, the scale happening. We see the first guy, he hugs, the guy walks away. The second woman came up red on his arm, and suddenly she's dead and gray.
Right.
Could this be a roguelike mutant power? He's sucking, the life force out of this character. Could this be the offering up of a soul to the the god of I forget the name already. Amit.
Amit.
Could it be that kind of thing, or a conduit situation where he's taking it and sending that life force, that soul? I don't know. I think we're going to see a little more of the character, and I don't think I'm not super knowledgeable about Moon Knight, but it seems like they just have the name Arthur Harrow in just in certainly in a little bit more than name only, because of the whole pain relationship and what happens in the first scene of the show. But possibly just basically a new character using that name, using a name that was used in one comic.
And I believe it's also the Fist of Khonshu miniseries where Moon Knight got his moon-based powers.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, he was essentially, very similar to Batman.
Yeah.
Non-powered. And like I had said in the previous show, Marvel just kind of batted him around from title to title. After those 2 Marvel Spotlight issues, before his own miniseries, he was in Defenders for about 4 or 5 issues. And then he was in Spectacular Spider-Man for a couple issues and a Marvel 2-in-1 appearance. And nothing really drove the character forward in those appearances. It was just, kind of just throwing him around and seeing, if he might be popular enough to get his own book, which I guess he eventually was.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that the character, it certainly does not seem like the character ever caught on the mainstream, because the title ends and restarts over and over again. I forget, Michelle can tell us how many how many volumes. It's probably like 9, 10, 11 volumes of Moon Knight over the years. Yeah, which is a ton. And that only really happens with the character that is obviously a very good character, but didn't ever really catch on enough to keep a long ongoing title.
Right. It's very similar to Black Panther.
Sure.
At the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Black Panther's popularity obviously has completely changed over the last several years.
Oh, yeah. The current run, Michelle says, is volume 9. Good to know. The current run, by the way, very good. I was kind of hoping for some possible tie-ins from that, so we'll have to see. There's certainly nothing that popped out at me from episode 1, but if you're not reading Moon Knight right now, there's second printings of most of the books, and some of them are probably still available on the shelf in the first printing. Go check it out. We're right about at that time. Jim, do you have any last-minute thoughts or anything like that?
No, I mean, I think, like you said, the trailer only revealed stuff pretty much from this first episode. So there's a lot of, the lot we don't know about coming up. I mean, we're entering it kind of blind. They probably will have a trailer for the second episode at some point. I would almost wish they didn't just let us, jump into there completely blind, and they could completely turn the story on its head by going from a completely different point of view.
Yeah. I personally hope there's no additional trailers. I hope we just get the episodes. I'd love to see an end credit scene throw in there. But here's a piece of interesting information that Marlene and him owned an art museum at one point, trying to live a normal life. So that's cool little tie-in with the museum there. It's just great to have you in here, Michelle, dropping all these facts that casual Moon Knight fans are unaware of. And we're definitely not upset with you flooding the chat, because that's the kind of thing that makes this community great. Is no one knows everything. Jim, you've been reading comics for about 50 years at this point, and there's plenty of stuff that you're not aware of, especially outside of DC. I know that's your
stuff that I don't remember.
Yeah,
I read that 30 years ago.
Yeah. All right, so thank you everyone for coming to the show. I personally very much liked the first episode. I thought it was great groundwork and has a ton of stuff to be built on. I'm really excited to see more of the Mark Spector persona, and also just how the personas interact, whether they're interacting, you know, in the mirror sequence like we saw, you know, face to face with each other, or just interacting as in controlling the same body at different points. I think it's going to be a great show. I'm curious as to where on the timeline we are. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm curious of how there's going to be a tie-in to the greater MCU, because I truly believe there will be. I don't think that anything is going to be left as just a standalone. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm certainly going to watch the episode at least one more time before next week's episode. Try to see if I can find anything else and stuff like that. But yeah, next week we will be on Jim's channel, Bronzeville Comics. If you don't follow him on Instagram, you should do so. If you don't follow him on Whatnot, you should do so. If you don't subscribe to his YouTube, you should also do so. He's got great content on a very regular basis. His videos are Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, which are the opposite of my Monday, Wednesday, Friday videos. And we'll be doing this Wednesday night every week. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Jim, for coming on.
Well, and thanks everyone for coming by.
Yeah, we'll see you next week on, like I said, Jim's channel for episode 2, same time, 10 p.m. Eastern. And until next time, Jim, I'm pointing at you.
Oh, me. Yeah. Enjoy your comics.
And turn the page, wash your hands. Thank you, guys.